Hi, beautiful. We're reading in A Course in Miracles in the text, chapter 20, The Vision of Holiness. We're in section 3, Sin as an Adjustment, and we'll start in paragraph 1. The belief in sin is an adjustment, and an adjustment is a change, a shift in perception, or a belief that what was so before has been made different. Every adjustment is therefore a distortion and calls upon defenses to uphold it against reality. Knowledge requires no adjustments and, in fact, is lost if any shift or change is undertaken. For this reduces it at once to mere perception, a way of looking in which certainty is lost and doubt has entered. To this impaired condition are adjustments necessary because it is not true. Who need adjust truth, which calls on only what he is to understand? I'll pause here and say that's really interesting. So it's saying that perception needs adjustment because it's not true, but truth will never need an adjustment because it's already true. Adjustments of any kind are of the ego. For it is the ego's fixed belief that all relationships depend upon adjustments to make of them what it would have them be. Direct relationships in which there are no interferences are always seen as dangerous. The ego is a self-appointed mediator of all relationships, making whatever adjustments it deems necessary and interposing them between those who would meet to keep them separate and prevent their union. I'm going to read that again. I think that's really interesting. The ego is a self-appointed mediator of all relationships, making whatever adjustments it deems necessary and interposing them between those who would meet to keep them separate and prevent their union. Wow. Keep us separate, huh? That's the ego's goal. It is this studied interference that makes it difficult for you to recognize your holy relationship for what it is. The holy do not interfere with truth. They are not afraid of it, for it is within the truth they recognize their holiness and rejoice at what they see. They look on it directly without attempting to adjust themselves to it or it to them. And so they see that it was in them, not deciding first where they would have it be. I'll pause here. That's interesting. Recognizing the truth within instead of deciding or making an adjustment in perception according to the ego, because it doesn't have the truth. So it has to make up a story. It has to make up something that's not real. Their looking merely asks a question, and it is what they see that answers them. You make the world and then adjust to it, and it to you. Nor is there any difference between yourself and it in your perception, which made them both. A simple question yet remains and needs an answer. Do you like what you have made? A world of murder and attack? I'll pause here and say that's a pretty blunt question. It's a pretty direct question there. Do you like what you've made? A world of murder and attack? Through which you thread your timid way through constant dangers, alone and frightened, hoping at most that death will wait a little longer before it overtakes you and you disappear? You made this up. Wow. I'll pause here and say, wow, that's a bold claim. I'm going to share an experience I had confirming this for myself, that this is true. You made this up. I was deep in a meditation when I recognized I'd reached that point of perfect stillness. I was just like, oh my goodness, it's so peaceful, it's so wonderful. And this is real, this is reality. And from that vantage point, I was able to just so clearly see how my ego had me living like a rat, running from dumpster to dumpster, looking for scraps while being chased by cats. Constantly looking to get what it needed and get away from what would harm it. And from this place of stillness, I just found it comical. Like, wow, I was really living like that. That's crazy. Because when you're in that place, that peace, your true home, your home frequency, you know Peace that passeth all understanding. You don't even need understanding. It's just isness. It is. It is. You're like, oh, this is the truth. There's no doubt about it. The truth is you are always perfectly safe. Even if you're in a nightmare, it doesn't make you unsafe. It might make you delusional, but not unsafe. Of course, it's a lot more fun to not be delusional. And that's why A Course in Miracles is teaching us, showing us, guiding us toward awakening. Do you like what you have made, a world of murder and attack, through which you thread your timid way through constant dangers, alone and frightened, hoping at most that death will wait a little longer before it overtakes you and you disappear? You made this up. It is a picture of what you think you are. I'll pause here and say, think, mind-based, not know. The soul knows. The mind thinks. The soul knows. Of how you see yourself. A murderer is frightened, and those who kill fear death. All these are but the fearful thoughts of those who would adjust themselves to a world made fearful by their adjustments. And they look out in sorrow from what is sad within and see the sadness there. Wow. Pause here and say, it's talking about projection. The sadness that you feel within, you're looking out and projecting on the world and seeing it there. We can just as easily do that with joy. Have you not wondered what the world is really like, how it would look through happy eyes? The world you see is but a judgment on yourself. Wow. It is not there at all. Yet judgment lays a sentence on it, justifies it, and makes it real. Such is the world you see, a judgment on yourself and made by you. This sickly picture of yourself is carefully preserved by the ego, whose image it is and which it loves, and placed outside you in the world. And to this world must you adjust as long as you believe this picture is outside and has you at its mercy. Oh, that's so interesting. I'll pause here and say, the ego wouldn't want us to know the true order of operations, because it would be the ego's extinction. If we understood that consciousness is creating reality, it's not reality that created consciousness. It's consciousness that is creating reality. And ego doesn't want us fully aware of that, because then we would be like, oh, you know what? It doesn't behoove me to keep dreaming a nightmare. And to this world must you adjust as long as you believe this picture is outside and has you at its mercy. This world is merciless, and were it outside you, you should indeed be fearful. Yet it was you who made it merciless, and now, if mercilessness seems to look back at you, it can be corrected. Let's pause there and say, that is such good news. It can be corrected. Errors in thinking can be corrected. That is like the good news. That is the beautiful message of A Course in Miracles. Who in a holy relationship can long remain unholy? The world the holy see is one with them, just as the world the ego looks upon is like itself. The world the holy see is beautiful because they see their innocence in it. They did not tell it what it was. They did not make adjustments to fit their orders. They gently questioned it and whispered, what are you? And he who watches over all perception answered, take not the judgment of the world as answer to the question, who am I? The world believes in sin, but the belief that made it as you see it is not outside you. Seek not to make the Son of God adjust to his insanity. There is a stranger in him who wandered carelessly into the home of truth and who will wander off. He came without a purpose, but he will not remain before the shining light of the Holy Spirit offered and you accepted. For they are the strangers made homeless, and you are welcome. I'll pause here and say, you. The real you, the authentic you. Ask not this transient stranger, who am I? I'll pause here and say, I really like that advice. Ask not this transient stranger, who am I? It's probably not going to tell you the truth anyway. He is the only thing in the universe that does not know. Yet it is he you ask, and it is to his answer that you would adjust. This one wild thought, fierce in its arrogance, and yet so tiny and so meaningless, it slips unnoticed through the universe of truth, becomes your guide. We have an insane guide when we turn to the ego to tell us who we are. To it you turn to ask the meaning of the universe and of the one blind thing in all the seen universe of truth, you ask, how shall I look upon the Son of God? Does one ask judgment of what is totally bereft of judgment? Let's pause here and just admit, yeah, we have. We've asked judgment of what is totally bereft of judgment. And we've gotten insane answers. And when we believe them, we project our insanity into the outer world and we see an insane world. And thank goodness that when we look inward, past the lies, we stop asking this transient, blind thing to tell us who we are, and instead accept the truth and know. Be still and know. We know. We don't have to ask. And of course, in Miracles, it often points out that we're scared to look within because we're afraid we'll find guilt there. But in truth, if you keep looking, you'll find your perfect innocence. You'll find that you are perfect, whole, and complete. So don't be afraid. And even if nightmares appear, disturbing thoughts appear, unrealities, perceptions, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, whatever you want to call it, even those can pop up, but you can watch them come and go and realize they're not you. And when you find you, you'll find God's Son, perfect, whole, and complete. Past the nightmare. And you'll find that in your brother too. Thank you, beloved, for being here. I love you. I'll see you soon.